I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Sparky.
We just started doing a video, a song, and it was such a complete disaster, we're not going to release it. However, it will be released in partially released to our Patreon people. You will get to see the half-finished video we stop.
This is how we reward you.
Yeah, you'll get the shit videos.
You too will suffer. And you can see
Vin's meltdown.
Yeah. You can see my absolute plane crash of
And I was holding it together, but the whole time I was thinking, what the fuck am I gonna say? How raw am I gonna be?
It was just one of those things where I was just like,
I was gonna give it a very low rating, I know that.
Well, the thing is, I was so in my soul done with the song.
You couldn't even finish it. There was only like a minute left.
A minute into it, I couldn't. I knew. I'm like, this is just bullshit. You're just reviewing it to review it because people asked for it. Like I didn't even want to review it.
Well, I thought it was
so
terrible.
Everything I would have said would have been bullshit. That's why I cut it. It created a lot more work for us. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I know.
As my editor, but I couldn't do it. It wouldn't have been an honest review.
I'm going to give a very bad review for this, and I'm like, hopefully Vin likes it, but I was listening more, I'm like, nah.
The rawest thing I would have said was, it sucked, it was boring, good night. And that was it.
It would have been our shortest reaction video.
Yeah, it would have.
You guys would have thought that we were like petering out on you, and
yeah, it would have been either a really short review or it would have just been me bullshitting through the thing. And I want to be.
We're not going to do that.
I want to be completely real, so I just stopped it before
but you guys, our Patreon
before the young lady ruined the rest of our night.
No,
I just said.
I'm not gonna be able to do it.
It's not going to happen. Not going to occur. So here we are.
Let's focus on.
Inshallah, Mastodon.
Oblivion.
Will be even better for us. So this is Mastodon.
Ready?
genuinely surprised by that song.
Why?
Mastodon, this song has been requested a ton.
Yes.
A ton.
Yes.
And let me get the lyrics up here. So Mastodon, you know, like Behemoth, it's like this big, you know, whatever. So Mastodon, I thought, you know, I don't know, I probably correlated Mastodon and Behemoth together.
Oh.
Because they're these big mythical, you know.
So is that what Mastodon means? Or is that what you thought it meant?
No, a mastodon is like a giant elephant. It's like an elephant dinosaur. If you could imagine an elephant dinosaur.
Like a mammoth?
A huge, but like
Bigger
huge,
than a mammoth?
yeah. Like,
okay, so.
But I thought they were gonna be like this super heavy, crazy, death vocally.
Yeah.
I did not expect these types of lyrics, and I love that chorus so much, like the way he did it. I've been away too long.
When I first started the song, I liked the drumming at the beginning, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be really good. And then when it started, I was completely disappointed. I didn't like the sound of his voice at all, and I was like, wow, this is a disaster. But then the song started growing on me, and by the end, I said, wait a minute, is this the same part of the song that he was singing at the beginning that I didn't like? And it was. So they like.
I love that chorus.
Started out with a low score and kept going up throughout it because.
Falling from grace, 'cause I've been away too long. Leaving you behind with my lonesome song.
So what did you get out of it?
Yeah, I just can't. I can't get over how much I love that chorus, and I'm extremely surprised by this band. You know what this band this reminds me of? Remember Clutch? And I was like, it's like, oh, they're in a bar, and he was talking about Lazarus coming back from the dead and all that shit, and I was like, he has like a straw in his mouth and all that. There were some metal parts, and then there were some other parts when, you know, I don't know. Yeah, so I just thought it was so crazy.
So what do you think the song's about?
Okay, so there's an Icarus reference here.
A what?
Icarus. I flew beyond the sun before it was time, burning all the gold that held me inside my shell. So Icarus, you know the mythology. They were stuck on this island or whatever, and his dad, this guy and his dad made these wings of wax or whatever.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then the dad was saying, don't fly too close to the sun because but he couldn't, you know, and then he crashed, you know, because he just, I mean, come on, you're flying. Wow, so.
I could see a couple of our kids doing that.
Oh, you know which one.
I know absolutely
wouldn't stand a chance. There's a guy that did the puppet show.
Yeah, but he's the one.
He's the one. Yeah. No, if it was him, I'd be like, look, Yoshi, just stay on the, we're staying on the island, bro.
You have no wings, buddy.
We're just gonna stay on this island, Yoshi, because you're gonna go too far.
Yeah.
I flew beyond the sun before it was time, burning all the gold that held me inside my shell. Waiting for you to pull me back in. I almost had the world in my sight. That's, what do you think that's about?
I don't know.
Lost love, bright eyes fading faster than stars falling. How can I tell you I failed, Flew beyond the sun before it was time. Burning the gold that held me inside my shell. Maybe somebody died. Maybe somebody died young. You know?
So you think when they flew beyond the sun before it was time? Before it was time?
Yeah, you know how anytime somebody dies young, they say they died before their time.
Yep.
So I think maybe somebody, you know, maybe he's narrating as the person who died.
Yeah.
I flew beyond the sun before it was time.
We're waiting for you to pull me back in.
Jeez, that's a good way of. That's an interesting way to talk about somebody you lost or somebody you loved that died.
Yeah.
Is talking about him. You like writing the song from his perspective.
Oh yeah, that is interesting.
Burning
I almost
all the gold.
had the world in my sight. What do you think that means?
I don't know. Maybe they were all rock stars together, but the burning all the gold that held me inside my shell. That is a very interesting line.
Like held me inside my body?
Yeah, because you know how people say the body is a shell, which is not, that's not a Christian idea, but a lot of people believe that, your body is just a shell and the true essence of you is inside of it. So it burns all the gold. So the gold was who he was, his soul. He's a golden soul type thing. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So it's very good use there in the first two lines. Damn it. That's some high class writing, man.
I don't think I fully understand what you're saying, actually. Because I thought I understood, but then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, no, wait a minute, I don't think I do. What do you mean?
No, I'm just saying he's saying he flew beyond the sun before it was time, which I'm interpreting that as somebody died before their time when they were young. But they're using the sun, as kind of what caused the death. So the sun burned the gold that held him inside his shell, because your body is a shell.
Yeah.
So whatever took you out of your body basically is what burned the gold out of you, that killed him, that took him away from the earth. So I'm just saying that those first two lines are very, very good. It's very good writing. It's very good poetry. Where are you getting
I don't really
those
think
first
I
two
like it. I don't know. I can't make enough sense out of it. I understand what you're saying. I just thought that it was a little bit different than what you just said. I didn't have an understanding of it. It just seemed like that didn't seem right. Burning all the gold that held me inside my shell. Because I keep thinking that the gold is the shell. Because remember the wings? They melted off. So that story is mixing with this, and so I'm getting mixed up. Just carry on.
Well, he didn't say anything about wings here.
Well, I know, but you said that story at first, so that's what I'm picturing. And he's saying he's flying away.
Well, I think he's emphasizing the sun. Like, the closer you get to the sun, it burns away the gold, burning all the gold that held me inside my shell.
Okay, all right. He says, I flew beyond the sun before it was time, burning all the gold that held me inside my shell. Okay, I see what you're saying. So he made choices and decisions that made him fly beyond the sun before it was time.
Right.
And that is what ended up killing him, is what you're saying. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Waiting for you to pull me back in.
Right.
Because he was making sure he wanted somebody to reel him back in from his whatever it was that he was doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You okay?
Well, I mean, and then the next line, how can I tell you I failed? Because when you have somebody like that in your life that you want to save, the reality is you can't save a person that doesn't want to be saved. But
you can't.
It doesn't matter.
Nope.
Because when you're left behind, you have to deal with that. You have to deal with the ramifications of you got people that you lost that you couldn't save.
Yep.
Everybody has different ways of handling that shit. It's very interesting.
So you're saying that the person that failed is the person that didn't pull them back in?
Yeah, waiting for you to pull me back in.
See, that's interesting because I saw it the other way. How can I tell you that I failed? Because he says, lost love, bright eyes fading faster than stars falling. How can I tell you that I failed? Tell you I failed. Because he said, then he says, falling from grace because I've been away too long. Leave you behind with my lonesome song. So it sounds like it's still from that person. Like the person feels like...
Well, it's going back. Because there's a conversation happening. I flew beyond the sun. And then in the next stanza, the other person is saying, lost love, bright eyes fading.
Bright eyes
I'm seeing your eyes fading faster than stars falling.
Jeez.
How can I tell you that I failed?
Oh my gosh.
So
yep.
he's looking at the death from his perspective.
Wow.
There's a sort of freedom that the first person has, because even though you died in the fucking, it's like Paul Walker, the guy that died, the guy that used to play Fast and the Furious. Yeah. The white dude, the cool guy.
I actually remember that.
He died in a car accident or whatever, and I remember reading one of his tweets, basically said something to the effect that, I hope I die speeding or something like that. Okay. But it was just... he loved cars, and it didn't mean it literally. It was just or like guys in the military, guys. Like I talk to these dudes, and they, if you're gonna die, you want to die when you want to have a good death. You want to die in the field,
Yeah.
So it's like it's tragic the way he died, but the way that it's presented, like he, it's freedom. He was flying. I mean, you died flying. Like so for him, it was like, whoa, I was high. Maybe it's a drug thing, right? But for the people that get left behind, it's bright eyes fading faster than stars falling. How can I tell you that I failed? I didn't, And
Wow.
you're kind of looking at the guy, like in the, funeral or whatever. I remember going to this funeral
I
of
don't think that's the funeral. I think it says he's dying, as a person's dying. Because it says, lost love, bright eyes fading. They're fading. That means he's dying. I mean, people's eyes are shut at funerals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is as he's...
Well, the guy's well, I don't think this guy's dying of old age.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't take it
I mean,
that
I've never
literal.
looked into somebody's eyes as they were dying, but I would assume that it kind of looks more and progressively more dull.
Yeah. But I think he was, people with drugs, their eyes are fading anyway, even when they're alive.
Yeah.
They get progressively worse.
You're right.
So you have that moment where, to me, well, it's just interesting to me because I got this call from somebody and their kid had killed themselves, and I had to go to the funeral. I hadn't seen this woman in a long time. For whatever reason, she called me and there was all this shit, and she wanted me to be there. I hadn't seen her in years, but she wanted me to be there, her son, and
You hate funerals.
no, I don't. There was a guy, he died, he was like, in his
don't
60s.
what?
I don't hate funerals. Like, the guy was in his there was one guy who was in his 60s, he died of cancer.
You hate funerals
And-
of young people.
I don't like, obviously when people kill themselves or in any way, whether it's drug use or on accident or on purpose. Well, this kid, he blew himself away. But I remember that whole thing where the mom was just blaming herself. And I had to, try to, but I know what it's like to have people that have done that, and, I'll carry that with me forever. And people will say, whatever, and the story, the whole, especially the whole bus station situation and all that. So, I'm gonna carry that probably till I die, but, so as I'm telling her, like, you didn't fail him, you didn't, it's not your fault, I knew it was all bullshit. Not that she was to blame.
Not that she did fail him, but it was she was gonna feel. So.
If I feel like that about my parent or whatever, how the fuck does she feel? It's her kid.
Right.
Or when you're a very, very close friend with somebody, like you always feel like,
How did I
you're
not
gonna
see
be
that?
there for them. Like I know people that have, their buddies have, they didn't make it. They didn't make it home. You blame yourself and whatever. So it's tough stuff. So yeah, it's just so I feel like it's a conversation, and then he's responding back to his friend.
Right.
Falling from grace, I've been away too long. Leaving you behind with my lonesome song. Now I'm lost in oblivion. Here it is again. This idea of when you die, you go into nothingness or whatever.
But what a horrible. I mean, that to me is worse than like just not existing. You're just floating in oblivion, like for what? For eternity?
Well, he says he's lost in oblivion.
How do you
But
get out of
oblivion
oblivion?
is kind of nothingness almost.
That's what I'm saying.
You're like.
But he's conscious of the fact that he's there.
Metallica has a song called "Through the Nothing" or "Through the Never."
Ugh.
Through the Never. Yeah. But we're the only species on a planet that has this awareness that we're gonna die. As far as we know. But
I was gonna say how could
how the fuck could we know something like that? It's true, but as far as we know, we're the only species that knows that we're gonna knows cognitively that we're gonna die.
maybe we know before we land in the situation, because I think that people have told me that animals, when they're like in the slaughterhouses and they're heading, like that they start panicking, like they know something bad is coming, even though they haven't seen it, they don't know. Maybe it's the sounds of the other ones, I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's probably the bleeding of the whatever, but like sheep, like a lamb to the slaughter, they don't know what the hell's going on. They don't have any fear whatsoever. They'll jump off a cliff or whatever,
Yeah.
But I do think that we have this conflict of knowing that we're going to die, and we've somewhere along the, from our perspective, we knew very early that we were going to die.
Yeah.
The day you eat of this tree, you'll surely die. And that's sort of the first conflict in the entire, in the scripture, which is interesting. But from an evolutionary perspective, somewhere along the line, some caveman sort of got the consciousness somewhere, holy shit, like, I'm not going to be here all the time. What happens after this? And what happened, and so having to deal with that, having that burden as a human being is a heavy, heavy burden. Which, when we're talking about the Obliviscaris, Oblivion, Obliviscaris.
Yep.
Or we're talking about the Obliviscaris, and we're talking about how art is all, distraction theory, that, the whole thing is just about trying to distract ourselves from the inevitability of the pressure of bearing the burden of death.
Wow.
And
that's really sad. Have we talked about that before?
Yeah, we talked about it.
That's because I'm like, I don't know what I said the last time, but I can't remember talking about that. But I'm like, if that was the point of art, was just to distract us from the inevitability of the ending of our existence, like you sap the beauty of it. But from our perspective, you look at art and it expresses things about God and tells us things about our Creator. Because if we're made in His image and we're like Him, then things about us and things about our art is going to tell us things about Him.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at a lot of the Renaissance art and all that, it was a lot of the themes in Renaissance art.
It was
about
dark.
Death.
Yeah, because there was so much death surrounding them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, and if you look at any major, you look at any culture, major or minor, the artists always, like, the ticker always goes toward death. It's weird. So the artists kind of. The scientists help us avoid it a little bit, expand the lifespan a little bit, and the entertainers, like basketball distracts us, football distracts us from not only death, but that's why the whole, like, fucking, the flag thing was such a big deal to people. Because it's like, fuck, man, I don't want to deal with this shit. I want to just be distracted.
Right.
This is where I zone out. I don't want to talk about police brutality. And a lot of people are like, like they're bringing the racial ramifications. But, like, this stuff started happening when dudes started dying. So these guys are saying, yo, we're dying out here.
Right.
And they weren't, people were, oh, you're racist, blah, blah, blah. Some of them, I don't know. I don't know how you can just broad brush a group of people. But a lot of it was, we don't want to know that people are dying in the streets. That's why we're watching football.
Right.
So it's not even about politics. It's about us as a species realizing that, look, it's like you're messing up the whole thing.
Yeah.
The reason why we're doing this is because we want to avoid the concept of death. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to hear about your friends dying in the street.
Right.
These guys are looking like, that's fucking insensitive. But it's a heavy burden as a human being to carry that weight, man. You think about it, like, it's kind of a weird thing. Like, then you think to yourself, okay, so if you're engaging in all these activities to avoid, because you're worried about the fear of death, then why do you like combat sports? When people come very close to, like in UFC, honestly, when you knock somebody out and you put them on the ground, you start beating the shit out of them, they're very close to dying.
Yeah, but it doesn't usually
like
happen.
Another minute, it almost never happens in the UFC. Yeah. Another minute, and that guy literally could be dead.
Well, I think that there's a difference between when you are going to a violent sport expecting violence, and when you're going to a sport like football, and I understand that there's violence in football, but you're not going there to think about death. Yeah. Even when people are watching, wrestling or fighting or boxing or anything, they're not thinking about death. They're just...
Well, what's interesting is that if somebody gets knocked out and they go to sleep and they wake up, it's almost like a resurrection almost. Like, boom, he was hurt. Oh, he's good.
Oh, yeah.
So I can get hurt too, and then, hey, everything's fine. We're all good here. I mean, he was out cold for a second. He looked like he was done. But now, he's back up.
good.
Hey, everything's all right. There's a winner. Everybody's here. Yeah. So
Hugging sometimes.
death, they hug a lot. Death is a crazy idea. So if my theory is right, then the next line is I try to burrow a hole into the ground, breaking all the fingers and nails from my hands. Yikes.
Ah.
The eyes of a child see no wrong, ignorant bliss, impending doom. See, there it is again. Like the person died young, but basically he buried himself.
Wow.
And he hurt himself really bad, breaking all the fingers
I know.
and nails. But I think this guy died in a very self-destructive way.
Yeah, and it's so weird that they say the fingers and then the nails. The nails are not important if the fingers are gone. But the order was weird, I thought. Because I pictured the fingers breaking off and then the nails breaking off after. It was backwards.
Oh, it says fingers and nails.
Yeah, but your nails would break before your fingers.
Oh, you said it backwards just now. Yeah. But that's an interesting way of describing a self-destructive person on the way to death.
Tried to burrow a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Which is where he ended up.
Yeah. And he didn't see anything wrong with it. Ignorant bliss, impending doom.
Wow. The eyes of a child see no wrong.
Yeah.
Yep, the Bible says it's basically even a child is known, like, I think it goes, even a child is known by his doings, or in other words, that a child even knows, they don't know the intricacies of all the rights and wrongs, but they have a sense of...
Yeah, well, a child doesn't know what's going to kill them.
True. That's why they drink stuff. That's why we have to have child safety.
You stick shit into them, go on the street and not look, like...
Yeah. I think they think something might happen sometimes, but I don't think that they actually think about death.
They don't think they're gonna die.
Right.
So that's
wow.
kind of, and that's the thing about youth, is that it's the whole Catcher in the Rye thing. It's like when you're young, a young person hasn't really come to that realization yet. Death, like you're alive and you just expect to be alive. Hey man, I'm 5 years old. And that's why the worst thing in all the world to me is a young kid with cancer.
I was literally thinking about that seconds before you said that. I'm like,
it just kills me.
Oh.
It's just the worst. Ugh. Next subject. Falling from grace because I've been away too long. Leave you behind with my lonesome song. Yeah, this is the ghost of this person basically saying, I've been away too long.
There was this girl, I don't remember, I was a teenager, probably like 18, and there was this little girl that had cancer, and it was so cool because my father and somebody else, like a few, how like the Make-A-Wish Foundation does like this thing where they'll go in and like gives the kid whatever they wish for or whatever. Like this, the home that they lived in, it was very cold. It didn't have good heating at all. Her room was just dingy and old, and so like a bunch of people got together. They were actually all Christians as far as I can remember, and everybody went in and they all pitched in and like redid her whole room and like put in this little heater in her room so that way she could, even if they were out of oil in the whole house, like she had a heat that was connected to the electricity, and they couldn't shut off the electricity because of her condition, so they made it so she would always have heat. And then I remember going to visit her and playing with her and stuff, and she got to ride in a fire truck. It was like sad, the situation she was in, but like when you see like the worst of humanity, and then sometimes you see like the ways that people come together and like loved on this little kid that they didn't even know, but they heard about her situation because I think she was in the newspaper or something, and so everybody just kind of band together, and so it was cool. I mean, I don't know the rest of her story. I mean, I don't know if she fought it and beat it or what ended up happening, but when you talked about the child, it just reminded me of that story, and I thought it was really cool. Anyway, I don't know why I said it, but
it's a good story.
Making the world a better place, I guess.
Yeah. Leaving you behind with my lonesome song. Jeez, man.
I know.
Art's really a gift. I wonder what these people would do, and I wonder what we'd all do if we lost people and never had art to have that as an outlet.
Yeah.
it's interesting because from the biblical perspective, you don't start seeing instrumentation until outside the garden. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
You see poetry and stuff inside the garden,
Right.
but you don't see
Like
instrumentation until outside the garden. And I think that God's like, you need a little bit extra to deal with the shit that you're going to encounter in the world. And it's interesting because it was the sons of Cain
I know.
who
Right.
invented all that stuff, you know. And so here's Cain, that God supposedly was mean to and sent away, and God just showered him and his family with all these.
And the mind to create it.
I mean, music. I mean, forget it. What type of world would there be? Thank you, Cain. Appreciate you. I think the lyricism. I think in the last 2 weeks, lyrically, this is probably the best lyrics I've seen.
Whoa.
Very simple song as far as like start to finish, but it was very, very brilliant. This guy's style of writing, and just the style of how they do music. I mean, I don't know how these guys do music as a whole. This is my very first. Have you heard anything from them? You haven't heard anything from them. I'm very impressed with the writing. I mean, wow.
What do you give it?
The breaking all the fingers, nails from my hand. Just, you can't not see that.
Nope, you can't.
You can't not see that.
You see it very clearly.
Yeah, it's extremely clear.
The dirt is very dark.
Yeah, man. It just, extremely, extremely clear. Little roots, and then the way they did everything, I've never heard anything like this before. Never heard anything like this before. This is extremely unique. So yeah, lyrically, this is the best I've heard in the last 2 weeks. Just brilliant writing. I'm super impressed. What do you give it?
Well, I mean, I started out with like a 4, and then it went up to a 5, and then it went to a 6, 6.5, and I think I landed at a 7 or 7.5.
Yeah, this is a 8.5 for me, and I don't like this song. I don't like it.
Well, yeah.
It's not a song I'm going to be listening to a lot. Yeah, it's like the type of shit that I would write if I was ever in a band. I'd write shit like this. So that's why I don't like it. Because when I write, I just write to get it out. And then I fucking leave it where it is.
Yeah.
And I don't go look at it again. And that's kind of arrogant of me, huh? I'm like, this is brilliant writing. This is the shit I would write. You know?
I was more focused on you not going back to read your stuff. I only do that if it's super painful.
I don't write unless it's... It's my life. All right. Well, what did I say? 8.5?
Yeah,
8.5. You gave it a
7.5.
All right. Okay. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.